Most people think the more you spend on an off-road SUV, the further off the road you can actually go. And honestly, that is one of the most expensive misunderstandings in the entire car world. The truth is a 40,000-pound Ford Bronco Sport and a Mercedes G-Wagen that costs nearly 200 grand will both bury themselves to the axles in the exact same mud hole if the person behind the wheel does not know what they are doing. The real gap between them has almost nothing to do with how deep the water is they can wade through. It is about what each one is genuinely built for, what it is quietly compromising to get there, and who it is actually made for. So today we are drawing the lines properly. 7 levels of off-road SUVs, from the humble Bronco all the way up to the mighty G-Wagen. And by the end of this, you will know exactly which level is worth your money, which one is charging you for a badge you will never once use in the dirt, and where the real sweet spot is hiding. Let's get into it. Level 1. The entry soft-roaders. This is the ground floor, and it is also where the biggest arguments start because the purists will tell you these are not real off-roaders at all. They are crossovers, unibody, built on the same basic bones as a family hatchback, and technically they are right. But that misses the point completely because these things are more capable than about 95% of the people who buy them will ever ask them to be. Take the Ford Bronco Sport Badlands. Around 40,000 pounds, a 2-liter turbo 4 making roughly 250 horsepower, and a proper twin-clutch all-wheel drive system with a rear differential that can actually lock. 8.5 inches of ground clearance and 7 terrain modes Ford literally calls GOAT modes, short for goes over any type of terrain. Then there is the Subaru Outback Wilderness. 9.5 inches of clearance, Seboso ar os sam ur. A 2.4 turbo boxer with 260 horsepower and that famous symmetrical all-wheel drive that has been dragging people up icy mountain passes for decades. Or the Jeep Compass Trailhawk, which is the cheapest way on earth to park a genuine trail-rated badge on your driveway. Here's what people get wrong about this level. They treat these as failed off-roaders. They are not. They are gateway cars. They exist to take somebody out of a normal crossover and quietly prove to them that a muddy field, a rutted gravel track, a snowed-in driveway, none of that is scary anymore. If your idea of adventure is a campsite at the end of a rough forest road, you honestly never need to leave this level. Just be clear about what you are buying. You are buying confidence. You are not buying conquest. Level 2, where off-road actually begins. This is the jump from a lifted crossover to a real, proper body-on-frame machine, and this is where the Bronco in our title truly earns its stripes. The full-size Ford Bronco starts around 40,000 pounds for a base 4-door and gives you a ladder frame, a solid rear axle, a 2.3-liter turbo 4 with 300 horsepower, or the sweeter 2.7-liter twin-turbo V6 with about 330. Doors come off, the roof comes off. It was built from a blank sheet to go and play. Next to it sits the eternal Jeep Wrangler in Sport, or Sahara trim, the only mainstream SUV left with a solid axle at both the front and the rear, which is old school and heavy and exactly why it climbs like a goat. And then the reborn Toyota 4Runner, now on a modern turbocharged platform with up to 326 horsepower from its iForce Max hybrid, wearing that bulletproof Toyota reliability like armor. The upgrade from level 1 here is not really about horsepower, it is about hardware. A separate frame flexes and twists over obstacles in a way a unibody never can. Low-range gearing lets you crawl up a rock face at walking pace without cooking the transmission. This is the level where you stop asking, can my car handle this trail, and start asking, how hard is the trail? If I had to pick one at this level, it is the base Bronco or a Wrangler Sport. You are getting 90% of the serious capability for a fraction of what the fancy trims cost. Level 3, the factory rock crawlers. Now things get serious and the price starts climbing for a very specific reason. This is where the manufacturers stop tuning for the road and start engineering purely for the trail. The Jeep Wrangler Rubicon is the poster child. Electronic locking differentials front and rear, a front sway bar you can disconnect at the push of a button for massive wheel articulation, a 4-to-1 low-range transfer case, heavy-duty Dana axles, and 33 or even 35-inch tires straight from the factory. Around 50,000 pounds and worth every penny if you actually use it. Sitting right beside it is the Ford Bronco Badlands with the Sasquatch package. 35-inch tires, front and rear lockers, a disconnecting sway bar, and Bilstein position-sensitive dampers that soak up the rough stuff. And the Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro with its Fox shocks tuned to fly over the desert. Here's the thing most buyers miss. All of this hardware, the lockers, the disconnects, the crawl ratios, it is completely wasted on a person who only ever sees tarmac. A locking differential does absolutely nothing for you on the school run. It is dead weight and extra cost until the exact moment you are hanging a wheel in the air over a boulder, and then suddenly it is the only thing on earth that matters. That is the honest test for level 3. Do you actually crawl rocks, or do you just like the idea of it? Be truthful with yourself, because this is real money for hardware you might never switch on. If you are finding this useful, and you are the kind of person who wants to know what you are actually paying for before you walk into a dealership, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. It genuinely helps the channel more than you would believe, and it means you will not miss the next breakdown. Right, back to it. Level 4. The long-range overlanders. This is my favorite level, and I think it is the one most people should secretly be shopping, because this is where capability meets comfort and range, where an SUV can genuinely cross a continent and then climb a mountain at the end of it. The reborn Toyota Land Cruiser is the headline act. A 2.4-liter turbo hybrid making 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque, full-time four-wheel drive, a locking center and rear differential, and around 60,000 pounds of go-anywhere confidence, backed by a reputation for running for 500,000 miles. Then the Lexus GX550 Overtrail, which takes that same Toyota toughness, wraps it in a proper luxury interior, adds a twin-turbo V6 with 349 horsepower and a clever disconnecting anti-roll system, and asks around 70 grand. There is the Land Rover Defender, gorgeous and clever with its air suspension and its 395 horsepower inline-six, though it comes with a reliability reputation that makes the Toyota crowd nervous. And the Ineos Grenadier, a proper old-school ladder frame brute with a BMW straight six and 3 available locking differentials, built by a billionaire who was annoyed that Land Rover killed off the original Defender. What defines this level is not extreme trailability. It is doing the whole journey. A comfortable cabin for a 12-hour drive, a huge fuel range, room for the family and all the gear, and then enough genuine off-road hardware to tackle the rough stuff when the tarmac finally runs out. If you want one vehicle that does the school run, the motorway slog, and the mountain trail without ever making excuses, this is the level to be at. Level 5, the Desert Performance Halo. Now we leave sensible territory behind entirely, because this level is not about crawling slowly over rocks, it is about going stupidly fast over rough ground, the way a Baja racing truck does. The Ford Bronco Raptor is the wild one. A 3-liter twin-turbo V6 with 418 horsepower, a dramatically widened track, 37-inch tires as standard, and Fox Live Valve internal bypass shocks that let it launch off desert whoops at speeds that would destroy a normal SUV. Around 90,000 pounds of pure, unnecessary, glorious excess. Right next to it, the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392, which does something gloriously old-fashioned. It crams a 6.4-liter naturally aspirated V8, making 470 horsepower under the bonnet of a Wrangler, so it will crawl rocks and then blast to 60 in about 4.5 seconds, while sounding like the apocalypse. Here is the honest truth about Level 5, almost nobody needs it. The suspension travel and the high-speed desert ability are engineered for terrain that maybe 1% of owners will ever find. Most Bronco Raptors will spend their whole lives in supermarket car parks looking absolutely enormous. But that is not really the point, is it? This level is about wanting, not needing. It is the automotive equivalent of buying the drum kit. You do not have to justify it, you just have to grin. Level 6, the luxury icons. And here it is, the G-Wagen. The Mercedes-Benz G550 is the one you have seen 1,000 times parked outside expensive restaurants, and it gets its own tier because it is genuinely not really a car anymore, it is a symbol. Around 150,000 pounds gets you a 3-liter inline-6 turbo with mild hybrid assistance, a proper ladder frame, 3 fully locking differentials, and a body that has looked essentially the same since it was designed as a military vehicle back in 1979. And here's the part that surprises people. The G-Wagen is not just jewelry, it is astonishingly capable. Those 3 diff locks and that boxy upright body mean it will climb things that embarrass SUVs costing a fraction of the price. The tragedy is that 99% of them will never touch anything rougher than a curb outside a boutique. This is also the tier of the Range Rover, the ultimate luxury cruiser that just happens to be brilliant off-road, and the Lexus LX600, which is basically a Land Cruiser in a tuxedo. What you are paying for at level 6 is not more capability than level 4. In many measurable ways, a Land Cruiser will keep pace with a G-Wagen in the mud for a third of the money. What you are paying for is presence, craft, that trademarked over-engineered thunk when you close the door, and the simple fact that everybody everywhere instantly knows exactly what it is and roughly what it cost. Level 7. Ultra rare and collector grade. This is where we stop talking about vehicles and start talking about assets that happen to have 4-wheel drive. Right at the top sits the Mercedes-AMG G63. Take everything that makes the G-Wagen an icon, then hand-build a 4-liter twin-turbo V8, making around 580 horsepower, and bolt it in. It weighs as much as a small building, it drinks fuel like it is trying to win a bet, it corners like the brick it is shaped like, and it will still launch to 60 in about 4.5 seconds while making a noise that sets off nearby car alarms. Around 186,000 pounds before the dealer adds their cheeky markup, and people happily pay it. But the G63 is just the doorway. Beyond it live the truly absurd machines, the G5504 4x4 squared, jacked up on portal axles until it towers over everything in the car park. The Brabus versions tuned to 800 or 900 horsepower by the mad scientists in Bottrop. The legendary 6-wheeled G63 6x6, a genuine collector's piece worth well over $1 million. And now, the all-electric G580 with 4 individual motors, the ability to spin on the spot like a tank, and enough instant torque to embarrass supercars off the line. These are not bought to go off-road. Most of them will never see a single speck of mud. They are bought as statements, as investments, as the automotive equivalent of a very loud, very expensive full stop at the end of a sentence about how well your life has gone. So where's the sweet spot? Let me save you a fortune. For the vast majority of real people, levels 2 through 4 are where the magic actually lives. A base Bronco or a Wrangler at level 2 teaches you what proper body-on-frame capability feels like. A Rubicon or a Badlands at level 3 is the pick if you genuinely crawl rocks at the weekend. And a Land Cruiser or a GX at level 4 is, in my honest opinion, the smartest single vehicle in this entire hierarchy, because it does absolutely everything and asks for nothing in return. Below level 2, you are mostly buying the look, and there is nothing wrong with that as long as you know it. Above level 4, you are no longer buying off-road ability. You are buying performance, exclusivity, and a very public statement about your wallet, which is completely fine as long as you understand that is exactly what you are paying for. Because the truth that runs through every single one of these 7 levels is a simple one. The best off-road SUV is not the most expensive one. It is the one that matches how you actually live and where you actually drive. Everything above that is either passion or ego, and only you know which one you are buying. If this helped you make sense of the madness, do me a solid and hit subscribe. I break down the car world the way it really works, no brochure fluff, no nonsense. And I genuinely want to hear from you in the comments, so tell me 3 things. Number 1, which of these 7 levels are you actually shopping right now? Number 2, Bronco or G-Wagen? If someone handed you the keys to either one today, which are you taking and why? And number 3, did I put the Land Cruiser too high or nowhere near high enough? Let me know. I read them all. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.